Mi amigos,
¿Cómo estás?
welcome. Mucho gusto.
Mucho gusto.
Carlos and I
Buongiorno.
have been friends for 20 years. We met through Sandra Bullock in 2000. Carlos has had an amazing career. He's a lawyer from Granada. He could have chosen to been a lawyer in Granada. He could have followed in the family business. He could have spent all of his time being a successful upper-class Spaniard, but instead he chose to help the people of Spain. He also made a politically difficult decision that he would continue his relationship and his belief in the Popular Party, which is not currently in power in Spain, rather the Socialist Party is. And in fact, he's from Andalusia, which is where Granada is, and was the mayor of Motril, which if you think Granada is beautiful, add the ocean, and you have Motril. And of course, Andalusia, being an agricultural state, is with the socialists and not the Popular Party. And I always love a politician who sticks to his beliefs, and it's a real pleasure to have you, Carlos.
Pleasure to come. Thank you very much.
And then we have Ignacio here with us, who Carlos invited, who is currently a professor and scholar around defense and security, but also served during the Popular Party as the chairman of the National Guard, which has a much broader meaning in Spain. And both of these gentlemen are NATO experts, European Parliament member, and we're going to ask at least what has been a burning question in the United States. We seem to be absorbed with the Ukrainian war. I think this may have something to do with the fact that we tend to lose wars in the last 50 years more than we've won wars. And of course, America always likes to have everything as a winner and a loser. And it certainly appears that Putin is getting his face pushed in. What the hell is going on here? This is not 1918. Why do we have a war going on in the middle of Europe? Ignacio?
Well, that's a great question. And I think we were not mentally prepared for a war. We live in some kind of Kantian world in which war was something from the past, but not from now. And one of the implications of this war is this rearm of European countries. Germany is going to spend this year more than $1,000 million in weapons. And all European countries are rethinking their defense policy to be prepared for the new strategic situation. But it's not only a question, in my view, of weapons. It's a question of vision. It's a question of mentality. It's a question of culture to understand that in this world, not all is peace, that we have a war just in the border of European Union.
Carlos,
Yeah.
what is Putin thinking?
Yeah, that's what.
The war is scary.
Because here we are in a scenario where the decision taken by the leaders matters, right? And sometimes we think, and we do, we live in a global world with global decision.
But how important is the decision for
Let's take just a minute here. Your microphone may have slipped down. If you just pull it up above your shirt there, it'll work better.
Okay. Okay. Here.
Okay.
So the thing is that here we have this scenario where you see how bad can be a decision of a bad leader, which is the case of Putin, no? Because it's a personal decision that he made to be in an injustice situation for the people of Ukraine, absolutely against the international rules, the rule of law, perpetrating something really bad into a different country without no respect and going against the people. And that's the personal situation where Putin has taken that bad decision. We are in this phase right now. And what Europe is doing right now is fighting against that situation with the rule of law and giving all support to the Ukrainian people to end this injustice situation made by the personal decision of a bad leader, of a dictatorship, which is Putin.
And what is the Spanish government doing? Are they supplying weaponry and that sort of thing?
We're supplying all kind of help through the European Union. The new scenario when the war started is that Europe has been a club of now 27 countries that play in the table of economic situation. More than that, now is energy, but energy comes not only by the war, it was before with the climate change and everything. Europe has been taking those decisions, but basically the born of the European Union club was economically. Make the rules. You know, the European Union has two very important things before this new scenario of the war. It was the euro, a unified coin, the money, and it was the Erasmus, which is a program between interchange of all European students, you know. And this has been fantastic because all the students from Spain has been studying in Bologna, in Italy, all over Europe, learn different languages, changing culture, and be European citizen indeed for the future, building something important which unified us. But what the war has taken for us is also to realize, like Ignacio was telling us, that we have to earn the peace every day. We have to earn the democracy every day. This is something that it doesn't come for free. There's an effort, and we have to fight against this injustice situation like Putin has put on the table. So Europe now realized that it has to have a program in defense, in security. We have to spend money and investment for guarantee of freedom and democracy, and find in the global scenario with the United States, with the NATO, to try that all freedom countries with democracy has to remain freedom, and no one has the right, like Putin has done, to attack them. So we have to be united and make a different step in the European Union scenario.
Ignacio, in the broad sense of security, there's obviously been a lot of discussion about immigration. I know Spain has had, as has Italy, a number of immigrants from North Africa and other countries. Are you receiving immigrants from Russia and Belarus? And how do you feel about the immigration that's occurring from this war in terms of the national security of Europe?
Well, just let me add, that's one point that I think is important. I completely agree with Carlos, but to say that the war is always a disaster in all terms. But if you look for a positive point in this war, is that really we improve a lot the transatlantic link. I think the trend, and it was a dangerous trend from my view, is that United States was looking just to the Pacific, and Europe tried to have some kind of strategic autonomy. This war in Ukraine produced the result that NATO is more important than ever, probably from the Cold War, and secondly, that we are together in a common policy against Ukraine. And secondly, what is new also in this war, and probably in the future wars that we will have in the future, no? Is that everything can be used like a weapon in strategic terms. Energy, immigration, food, everything. No? This morning we have an explosion in the bridge between Crimea and Russia, and no one is saying who attacked this bridge, no? Who produced this explosion, because many of the things that are happening is not a traditional way in which you say, okay, I did it. No one's now who, for instance, sabotage the pipe, no, between Russia and the Nordic countries. So it's a new kind of war, and immigration is one of the factors, no. And just I must say that I think the example of Poland and other Eastern countries was fantastic. No, they adopt millions of people from Ukraine. We have also some thousands in Spain, but really the main effect of immigration in this war that is used like a weapon is managed by Poland and other countries very, very successful.
I want to talk about energy with you in a minute, but my last question regarding the war, and I think you two gentlemen may have enough information to know better than most of us. What's the outcome? Where is this heading? How long will this war last?
Well, actually, the situation is changing every day. But we've been seeing right now is the effort of the Ukrainian people in this war, because in the other side, it seems like the Russian soldiers don't know why we fighting for. And the moral issues is something very important, of course, in this scenario. But more than that, the situation is sometimes so difficult to understand and to explain that we are in a very new war and scenario, because this war has been very technological. We've been watching the drones in the battle, in the middle of the battlefield. And we've been watching the situation where other countries give technology, mostly to the Ukrainian people. And in the other side, we see the Russian army all not new developments. And well, this scenario is bringing a new situation where last month past, we've seen the Ukrainian army recovering new places that no one could ever thought that it was going to happen, and it's happening. No? And so the situation of the time, of the schedule of the war is not easy to know. I mean, now with the winter, the situation can change a little bit, but it could be chronic. We don't know yet, but it's a scenario of a new war with different technologies that we haven't seen before. And that comes to a global situation of that we don't really know what's going to happen, but we've been seeing that at the beginning of the war, all the experts thought that the war is going to last for 2, 3, 4 months. And look, what is the scenario right now, where Russia has to mobilize Putin 300,000 people from the reserve of the military service in Russia, with all the problems that Putin has been having with that. And it's not enough for that. It's not enough, because all the power of the Ukrainian people with the technology, with the situation and the feedback of the situation of the war, with the decision that the army is taking, well, it's been really difficult now for Putin in the situation that he's right now. And we don't know how it's going to be the reaction, but we see that this is not like the beginning. This is changing. And what we hope is that the freedom wins, the democracy wins, because these are two different scenarios. One, freedom, democracy, European Union, NATO, United States, all the allies, Ukrainian people with the force. And in the other side, a dictatorship with bad, very bad and criminal decisions.
Endgame, Ignacio?
Well, I will not say for first time in my life, but I have in this war quite confidence in American intelligence. And what is new in this war is that we have some kind of public intelligence. So the American intelligence community is saying what is going to happen next. No? So I will say first, Ukraine is going to win the war, I think, with our support. But I think the trend will be very, very difficult, as Carlos mentioned it, to change, and Putin could win the war. I don't think that could be possible. Secondly, Putin is not crazy, but it's very difficult to know what is he's thinking, because he thinks in a different way that we think. So we try to know what will next step in our thinking, and it's so difficult to change the mentality and try to think like Putin thinks, no? And because that is very, very important intelligence, and it's very important the facts, no speculations about the war, no? And thirdly, it's very important to win the war. I think it's vital, no, to win the war. But it's, from my view, more important to manage the peace. So I think the great challenge now is to think about how we can rebuild some kind of security order in Europe, and how we can build together some kind of world order for the future, in which, and that's very tricky, but in this new world order, I think Russia has to play a role, which is so difficult to know now. But I think in this manage of peace, it's important that Russia could have some integration in the new world order. I think it's a great mistake, take out of the game Russia forever. No?
In that, I think in that point, there's something very important that we've seen just the beginning right now of the different moves of the citizens, of the situation inside Russia. But probably it's going to continue. Because when a leader takes a decision, very bad decision, a criminal decision, like Putin has made that decision, right? It's against everything. It's against the rule of law, it's criminal, it's killing people, it's starting a war that is a mess that nobody wants. Nobody wants, even in Russia. There's a lot of people, million people in Russia that they don't know why Putin has taken this decision. And we've seen all the disorders showing up this few weeks ago. But I think it's going to continue that movement because, it's a person that takes one criminal decision, and even the people who is around him doesn't understand why. And now with the time, when they are seeing that the very bad things are coming for Russia and all the struggle that they have in, they don't understand. So all those movements internal in Russia has just begun.
All right, let's wrap up with the, I think it would be metaphysical, question about energy and climate warming. It seems like these are gigantic security issues for Spain, for the Mediterranean countries, for the Northern European countries, for really the entire globe. What is the future in climate warming? What is the future in energy that will allow us to stay a vibrant globe?
The green hydronic, to say green hydrógeno verde, green hydronic. That's the future energy that is coming up and is showing up. And basically because the gas distribution has been an issue from Russia, you have to know that 10% now of the energy between the 27 members of the European Union comes from Russia. So if the 27 member has to have a big decision, say, to stop the gas from Russia, to stop importing that gas, or Putin had the decision to cut the tap, so we have an issue because we're talking about 10% of the energy in the European Union. So the scenario is changing. Of course, it was before to the
green sources of energy, right? And now it's going back to a new type of energy, which is the hydrogen, green hydrogen. And for that, it goes in the same pipelines that the gas is flowing right now, the green hydrogen. So that's the reason why in Spain we are asking to France to build a new pipeline with the Pyrenees to supply all German, in the future France, and to stop being dependent from Russian gas. But of course, that's is an issue right now because the winter is very close. The Germany has a lot of dependence for the Russian gas, and what European Union is unified about the idea of the green energies. I mean, that's the future that is coming, of course.
Well, I'm not an expert in energy, but I will say it will be a cold winter in Europe. Will be great if we can find some kind of agreement between the United States and European Union, because the economic consequences of this war are much more positive for the United States than for Europe. And I think not only United States and Europe to build some kind of islands, not only in military terms, but also in energy, but try to convince other countries like Saudi Arabia or other countries in this alliance to win also the economic war that we have in front of us. No? But anyway, I agree with Carlos that maybe the war will accelerate the energetic transition that we needed.
And look, Mike, what, for example, the new supplier, big supplier to European Union in gas has been the United States now,
Yeah.
with all the ships that come with liquid gas, and then we put in different factories in Europe. We have 30 factories all over Europe to liquid that gas and convertible in gas, right? And Spain built in the 1996 with a popular government those plants, the industry of regasification, which is now is very helpful because it's the substitute of the Russian gas, and it's what can supply Europe in this winter. You have to think that one ship that comes to a plant is having the gas when it's liquid, that gas in that plant is like one ship become 100 times a New York Yankees stadium in gas, you know, if you want to see the big picture. So it's now really helpful, and the United States is providing and helping Europe to substitute the Russian gas, which is another way, very quick way to solve the problem. I mean, in the future, of course, we have to look at the green resources.
If it could be a little cheaper, much better.
Sure, I'm agree.
One or two short questions, TikTok length. One TikTok length question. Gentlemen, thank you for your service to the European Union.
Thank
Thank you very much,
Thank you.
my friend.
Muy interesante.
Mucho gusto.
Encantado.
Mucho
Muchas
gusto.
gracias, amigo.
Thank you.